The security alarm at Mountain Ridge Wildlife Clinic pierced the quiet morning air. Sarah Matthews rushed to the front entrance, her heart pounding in her chest. In 15 years as a wildlife nurse, she had never received an alert quite like this one. The motion sensors had detected something large, much larger than their usual patients. Through the security cameras, she saw what had triggered the alarm. A full-grown female grizzly bear stood at the clinic's entrance. But something was wrong. The bear's behavior was unusual, almost purposeful. Instead of the aggressive stance Sarah expected, the bear paced back and forth, occasionally looking directly at the camera, as if trying to communicate. Sarah immediately called Dr. James Wilson, her colleague, who was still 20 minutes away. "James, we have a situation here. A mother bear. Something isn't right." She kept her voice steady despite the rapid beat of her pulse. The bear showed no visible injuries, yet her movements spoke of urgency and distress. The autumn morning had barely begun. Golden sunlight filtered through the surrounding pine forest, casting long shadows across the clinic's parking area. Sarah had arrived early, as usual, to prepare for what she had assumed would be a typical day. The recovery ward held their regular patients: 3 injured birds, a fox, and a young deer. All stable, all routine. Nothing had prepared her for this. The bear's presence defied everything Sarah knew about wild animal behavior. Grizzlies typically avoided human structures, especially in the early morning hours. Yet here one stood, deliberately lingering at their doorstep. Sarah's trained eye caught another detail. The bear's fur was matted in places, as if she had traveled through rough terrain. Her movements, though anxious, showed signs of exhaustion. As Sarah studied the security feed, her mind raced through possibilities. In all her years treating wildlife, she had never encountered anything like this. The bear seemed to be waiting for something or someone. There was an intelligence in her eyes, a desperation that made Sarah's professional detachment waver. Little did she know, this was just the beginning. The true reason for the bear's visit would soon challenge everything she understood about animal behavior. More importantly, it would lead to a discovery that would bring tears to her eyes and touch the hearts of everyone who would later hear this remarkable story. The security alarm continued its steady warning beep. Sarah watched the monitor intently, every instinct telling her that something extraordinary was about to unfold. In the hours to come, she would witness a mother's love transcend the barriers between the wild and the human world, leading to an emotional revelation that would stay with her forever. Standing at the clinic window, her heart pounded against her ribs. The mother bear's behavior defied all logic. In all her years as a wildlife nurse, she had never seen a wild animal, especially a grizzly, act this way. The bear's eyes held something Sarah couldn't quite understand. Not aggression, not fear, something else entirely. The morning light strengthened, casting long shadows across the parking lot when the mother bear suddenly turned toward the forest. Sarah held her breath, wondering if the animal would leave. Instead, what she witnessed next made her press her hand against the glass in disbelief. The massive grizzly returned, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her, struggling with each step, limped a small brown cub. Sarah's nursing instincts kicked in immediately. The cub's movements were labored, its right side clearly injured. Blood matted its fur, and its small body trembled with exhaustion. But it was the mother's behavior that caught in Sarah's throat. With gentle nudges and patient pauses, the mother bear guided her baby directly toward the clinic entrance. This wasn't random. This was a mother desperately seeking help. The security camera footage showed every detail of the bear's face. Sarah saw something there that would haunt her forever. A look of pure maternal desperation. The kind that transcended species. The kind that would do anything, risk anything, to save a child. As she watched the mother bear guide her cub to the door, Sarah felt the first tears form in her eyes. But these weren't the tears that would define this extraordinary morning. What she would discover later would shake her entire understanding of animal behavior and maternal love. The cub collapsed against the clinic door, its small body heaving with each breath. The mother bear backed away slowly, creating a respectful distance while keeping her eyes fixed on her baby. Her message was clear as daylight. Please help my child. Sarah had treated countless injured animals, but something about this situation felt different. Something about this cub's injuries and its mother's behavior hinted at a larger story, a story that would soon bring her to tears. When Dr. Wilson arrived and prepared to help, the mother bear's reaction defied everything Sarah knew about wild animals. Instead of charging to protect her cub, she stayed back, as if understanding that humans were her baby's only hope. Sarah watched this display of trust with growing wonder, unaware that the real surprise was yet to come. The reason behind the cub's injuries, the truth she would soon discover, would be more heartbreaking than anything she could imagine. As they prepared to examine the injured cub, Sarah felt a strange mix of emotions. Professional concern mixed with deep curiosity about what could have driven this mother bear to such extraordinary measures. She had no way of knowing that in the next few moments, she would uncover a truth so powerful, so moving, that it would bring her to tears and change her perspective on wildlife forever. The mother bear watched from a distance, her huge body tense but controlled as Sarah approached her injured baby. The truth behind the cub's injuries remained hidden for now, but soon Sarah would discover a reason that would make this case unforgettable. A reason that would make her cry not from sadness, but from a profound realization about the depths of a mother's love. Sarah knelt beside the injured cub, her trained hands gentle but quick in their initial examination. The mother bear remained at her watching distance, a silent guardian whose trust defied natural instincts. The morning sun now filled the clinic entrance, illuminating the cub's injuries with unforgiving clarity. The first things Sarah noticed were typical of an injured wild animal: scratches across the fur, signs of exhaustion, dehydration that spoke of a long journey. But as she carefully parted the matted fur to examine the wounds more closely, something caught her eye. Something that made her pause and look again, not quite believing what she was seeing. There, beneath the dried blood and dirt, she found markings that told a story. Not the random cuts and tears of a natural accident, but deliberate shapes. The cub's injuries weren't from a fall or a fight with another animal. What Sarah saw made her stomach tighten and her hands tremble slightly. These were man-made wounds, but that wasn't what brought the tears to her eyes. Wrapped around the cub's injured leg, nearly hidden by fur and dried mud, was a thin metal wire, a snare, the kind used by illegal hunters in the forest. The wire had cut deep into the cub's flesh, explaining its difficulty in walking. But as Sarah carefully examined the snare, she discovered something that made her heart nearly stop. The wire had been partially broken, not by the cub's struggles, but by something much more powerful. The metal showed clear signs of being torn and twisted by massive force. Sarah looked up at the mother bear, still watching patiently from her distance, and the realization hit her like a physical wave. The mother bear had tried to free her cub from the snare. The marks on the metal showed repeated attempts to break it. This explained the unusual pattern of additional wounds around the snare. They were defensive injuries caused by the mother's desperate attempts to free her baby. She had worked at the wire until she managed to break it partially, but couldn't remove it completely without risking more harm to her cub. That's when Sarah's professional composure finally broke. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she understood the full story. This mother bear, after trying everything she could to free her baby, had made an incredible decision. Instead of giving up, she had brought her cub to the only place she might have seen humans helping animals. The clinic sat on the edge of a wildlife observation area. The mother bear must have witnessed other animals being treated here. The implications overwhelmed Sarah. This wasn't just about treating an injured cub. This was a mother's conscious decision to trust humans after humans had caused her baby's pain. The level of intelligence, the depth of maternal love, the desperate courage it took to approach the very species that had hurt her cub. It all came together in a moment of profound understanding that brought Sarah to tears. As she carefully began treating the cub's injuries, Sarah couldn't stop her tears from falling. Each gentle touch, each bandage applied, carried the weight of this incredible story. The mother bear's trust, earned through her own desperate need to save her baby, humbled Sarah beyond words. This wasn't just another day at the wildlife clinic. This was a testament to the universal power of a mother's love. Working through her tears, Sarah knew this story would stay with her forever. The day a mother bear's love for her cub bridged the gap between wild and human worlds, teaching everyone who would later hear the story about the true meaning of maternal love and trust. Sarah wiped her tears with her sleeve, but they kept coming as she worked to free the cub from the cruel wire. Each gentle touch revealed more evidence of the mother bear's desperate attempts to save her baby. The wire had left marks not just on the cub, but told a story of the mother's determination that touched Sarah's heart deeply. As she worked, Sarah kept glancing at the mother bear through her tears. The huge animal remained perfectly still, watching every movement with intelligent eyes. The trust displayed here was unprecedented. Sarah's hands trembled as she discovered more signs of how the mother bear had tried to break the snare. Tooth marks on the metal, sections where powerful claws had scratched and pulled at the wire, careful not to hurt the cub further. The morning light now streamed fully through the clinic windows, illuminating Sarah's tears as she cleaned the cub's wounds. Her medical training kept her movements precise, but her heart felt overwhelmed by the story unfolding through each new discovery. Beneath the wire, she found healing marks, evidence that the mother bear had been cleaning and tending to her cub's injuries for days before making the incredible decision to seek human help. The cub remained surprisingly calm during treatment, as if sensing its mother's acceptance of these humans. Sarah found herself talking softly, explaining each step of the treatment, not just to the cub, but to its watching mother. Through her tears, she saw the mother bear's eyes tracking every movement, every bandage, every gentle touch. The depth of understanding in those eyes only made Sarah cry harder. More evidence emerged as Sarah worked. The pattern of the cub's movements suggested it had been injured for at least a week, which meant the mother bear had been caring for it, protecting it, and likely carrying it for all that time. The realization that this mother had kept her injured baby alive while searching for help brought fresh tears to Sarah's eyes. The intelligence and devotion displayed here went beyond anything she'd encountered in her career. Dr. Wilson prepared medications and bandages, but stayed in the background, understanding that a special connection had formed between the nurse and these extraordinary bears. Sarah's tears fell freely as she wrapped the final bandages, her heart full of wonder at the mother bear's desperate journey to find help for her baby. The trust this wild animal placed in human hands, despite humans being the source of her cub's pain, spoke of a level of intelligence and maternal love that transcended the natural world. Through the window, other staff members had gathered to witness this unprecedented scene. They saw their experienced nurse crying as she treated the cub, all of them moved by the remarkable display of trust before them. The mother bear remained vigilant but calm, her eyes never leaving her cub, her presence a testament to the lengths a mother would go to save her child. As Sarah finished the treatment, her tears had soaked into her surgical mask. But these weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of profound understanding, of being witness to something extraordinary. A mother's love had overcome the ancient barriers between wild and human worlds. The mother bear's decision to bring her cub here, her careful watching, her incredible trust, all spoke of an intelligence and emotional depth that would forever change how Sarah viewed wildlife. As the morning turned to early afternoon, Sarah made the final preparations for releasing the treated cub back to its mother. Her eyes still felt damp from the tears she had shed, each one a testament to the extraordinary events that had unfolded. The cub now rested comfortably, its wounds cleaned and bandaged, pain medication working through its small body. Throughout the treatment, the mother bear had maintained her patient vigil outside the clinic. She had not moved from her spot, had not shown any aggression. Her behavior continued to amaze everyone present. Sarah's tears had slowed, but her heart remained full of emotion as she prepared to reunite mother and baby. The story of how this wild animal had sought human help would stay with her forever. The cub's breathing had steadied, its pain visibly reduced. Sarah carefully removed her medical gloves and recorded the final notes in the treatment log. Her handwriting wavered slightly as she documented the remarkable circumstances that brought this patient to their door. The evidence of the mother's attempts to free her cub from the snare would be preserved, a testimony to the power of maternal love. With gentle movements, Sarah prepared to return the cub to its mother. The reunion needed to be handled carefully, though something told her this extraordinary mother bear would remain calm. Other staff members watched from inside, their own eyes wet with tears at witnessing such an unprecedented display of trust and intelligence from a wild animal. The mother bear shifted slightly as Sarah appeared in the doorway with her cub. The massive animal's eyes showed recognition, understanding. There was no fear, no aggression, just a mother waiting to receive her baby back. Sarah's tears threatened to return as she carefully placed the cub on the ground. The little one, stronger now after treatment, took tentative steps toward its mother. What happened next would be forever etched in Sarah's memory. Instead of immediately leading her cub away, the mother bear did something remarkable. She looked directly at Sarah, holding her gaze for a long moment. In those deep brown eyes, Sarah saw something that brought fresh tears. Recognition, gratitude, a connection that transcended the natural boundaries between humans and wild animals. The mother bear gently nuzzled her cub, inspecting the bandages and treatment with careful attention. She seemed to understand that her baby had been helped, that the humans had done what she could not. Sarah stood perfectly still, tears rolling down her cheeks as she witnessed this intimate moment between mother and child. Only when she had thoroughly checked her cub did the mother bear begin to move toward the forest. She walked slowly, matching her pace to her baby's still tender steps. The cub, though limping slightly, moved with more ease now that the cruel wire had been removed. Sarah watched through tearful eyes as the pair made their way to the tree line, the mother bear occasionally looking back, as if offering final acknowledgments of trust and gratitude. The sun had reached its peak in the sky as the bears disappeared into the forest. Sarah remained at the clinic entrance, her heart full of emotions she could barely contain. This experience had changed her forever. The intelligence shown by the mother bear, the trust she placed in humans despite her cub's injuries being human-caused, spoke of a depth of consciousness that few believed existed in wild animals. Later that evening, as Sarah completed her final reports, her tears had dried, but the emotion remained strong in her heart. She had witnessed something extraordinary. A mother's love had bridged the gap between wild and human worlds. The story of the bear who brought her injured cub to the clinic would be told and retold, touching hearts and changing perspectives about wildlife intelligence and maternal love. The security cameras had captured everything. The mother bear's arrival, her patient waiting, the incredible trust she showed, but no camera could capture the profound impact this event had on Sarah's heart. Her tears had come not just from witnessing a mother's desperate attempt to save her child, but from being chosen as the one this wild animal trusted with her most precious possession. As the day drew to a close, Sarah knew she would never forget this remarkable Monday morning when a mother bear's love for her cub changed everything she thought she knew about wildlife. The tears she had shed were a small price for being part of such an extraordinary display of trust, intelligence, and maternal devotion. If this incredible story of a mother's love and trust touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and share it with others who would appreciate such a powerful display of maternal devotion. Subscribe to our channel for more remarkable wildlife stories that showcase the extraordinary bonds between animals and the dedicated humans who help them. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts about this amazing mother bear's intelligence and bravery in seeking help for her cub. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to stay updated with more heartwarming stories that remind us of the remarkable connections possible between humans and wildlife. Your support helps us continue sharing these extraordinary tales of courage, trust, and unconditional love from the animal kingdom.